Mozilla Firefox. Now they're looking right at my
first
face.
You have to, okay.
They looked right at me.
Folks, YouTube is back online.
Not yet. Don't worry.
Do you want me to make it full screen so you can watch it?
Okay. Now we're on camera, so be professional.
Thanks, Dad.
What are you trying to say?
Okay. We will now hear from Ray and Austin. Ray, our Director of Legislative Affairs, Austin, the Deputy Director. I'm Ray. What I'm handing out is from Jim Campbell. Those are a copy of the, thank you. I'm going to stand behind you, it's going to be a little longer. Pardon? I would just prefer the audio be able to transmit. I know. The only reason I know is because my girlfriend is watching this from Europe, and she told me she couldn't hear anybody. So, thank you for tuning in. Hello, Nadia.
That's so cute.
Isn't it? Anyway, what's being passed around is from Jim Campbell. That is a list of some higher education topics that were discussed by the state. You can see that they're categorized by whether they were passed or not and kind of where they were at the end of the session. The items that were passed on to the governor but not signed by the governor are going to be, obviously a big discussion for us once the next session starts in January. That date has yet to be announced. And so those are things that are important to pay attention to. Some of these things are very regionally specific. In fact, Old Westbury is mentioned specifically. I believe their child care center, funding for their child care center is mentioned. Some of these things are a little bit broader. So one of the things that was left off the table this year is maintenance of effort, MOE. That is an extraordinarily important topic for us in the upcoming year, but we will get to that. So in answering some of the prompts that came with developing this report, the first one was, what has our communication looked like? And primarily our communication has focused on accumulating data as we approach the beginning of the semester. I'm somebody who strongly believes in the power of information. The more information that we have about our students, about important trends on our campuses, the better off we are. So we're in a discussion right now about developing a comprehensive survey that we are going to send out via our reps to every single campus. We're going to want to get back a few weeks after the semester starts. And that is going to help inform the sorts of issues and the sorts of problems that we're looking to include on our legislative agenda, which is a discussion that we have already started. External communication has been pretty limited to individual outreach to elected officials. I had the opportunity to stop in and see my officials while I was home, and I've encouraged members of the committee to do so, and I know several of them have. Having those sort of face-to-face interactions is really great for us. However, I encourage all of you to also get to know your staffers. We had Charles and Kelly here today, and I really respect the members that they work for, but oftentimes they're going to be far more accessible than the member themselves. So external communications, like I said, includes a plan to send a survey out to the student leaders. I would like for you guys to chime in on what sort of questions we should be asking, keeping in mind that we are trying to accumulate important information. So sometimes we ask loaded questions that we know will result in a data input that kind of favors our point of view. I try to shy away from those things. What I would ask is that all of you try to think of an important question for legislative affairs, things that we can affect change on, and submit a question to me by August 15th, which is Monday, at 5 o'clock p.m. There's a little bit of leeway there, but just try to keep that. This is all written down in the report. I'd like to talk a little bit also about what we have achieved thus far. This is a very slow time of year for legislative affairs because obviously the legislature is not in session. Many of the members are home and not much work is being done in terms of setting a platform for the upcoming year. So we did an introduction to legislative affairs. We talked a little bit about the nuts and bolts and pieces that go into developing a year-long initiative and a year-long advocacy plan. We spoke a little bit about the key players, which is a specialty of my associate director, who's excellent with elections and identifying trends and key players in terms of passing actual legislation. And we also began a discussion on strategic goals. Now, we do not yet have, obviously, the language of a legislative agenda. That's going to be somewhere down the road. That will be our focus primarily for most of the fall semester up until our fall conference. Those strategic goals are instead kind of a skeletal structure that will help us kind of launch our advocacy plan after the Assembly has confirmed a legislative agenda, whatever that final product might look like. And we've also put together a compilation of a very tentative, very early list of what our legislative agenda might begin to look like. That includes textbook affordability, which has been an issue we've been talking about for a long time. There are efforts both with a direct bill and also discussions internally to try to address that problem. Child care funding continues to be a problem, and I believe sometime soon, maybe at this meeting or perhaps I saw this somewhere else, but we as the executive committee will be signing on or rather affirming a call by, I believe it's the University Faculty Senate for FCCC for increased child care funding. Those really go a long way toward helping not only the faculty and administration that use them, but also non-traditional students who are returning to school with children that need access to affordable quality child care. EOP funding is, again, a very important issue, and we've been really lucky to have a very active and engaged EOP grassroots base. 2 years ago, when I was Director of Government Relations under President Mold, every time that I went to the LOB on Tuesday, which is lobby day, EOP students were everywhere. And that really had an enormous impact on the final result, which was several $1 million in increased funding. We are talking about a number of things, as President Cohen said, with the Lieutenant Governor's Office, particularly with heroin and opiate prevention. I think he covered that pretty solidly. Community college funding concerns are always going to be an issue, and they will be on the agenda every year until such time as we have magical and endless amounts of money, which will be never. Also, across the board, financial aid increases has been a big discussion. So that's federal and state. Until such time as we've really met the enormous need of students that really are in dire straits, we will continue to advocate for that. And also amending kind of outdated financial aid metrics. Many of the income metrics that we use are way outdated, 30 plus years outdated, and that really needs to be changed and updated. I had a discussion, as did President Cohen, with somebody, his name is Michael Braun, and he is a SUNY student. He's also on my committee, and he brought up a very important issue about the Department of Labor regulation changes and how that might impact our student governments and how that might impact how we pay stipends out. Instead of flat fees, there's been a question on whether or not the language in the current proposed regulations will in fact result in student governments having to pay everybody on an hourly basis. Now, I know just from my experience with student leaders, you guys are working way, way more than your organization can afford to pay. And that's why this is servant leadership, because you're never going to get paid what you're actually worth in the work that you do. So that could put us in a really untenable situation. We're having a discussion right now with SUNY Council to determine what the actual impact of that regulation might be, and we're also in discussions with the Department of Labor itself via SUNY Council to try to figure out how to move forward on that. We spoke about voter disenfranchisement, which has been a big issue across the board in this election cycle, and it can be a sensitive topic depending on how you approach it, but I'm confident that the committee can have a really great discussion about that, and I invite all of you to be part of that discussion, and we can have some sort of a resolution as a result. Tuition transparency, understanding where our tuition dollars are going, especially if there's going to be a tuition raise. We should be able to understand where every cent of our hard-earned money is going. State maintenance of effort, like I said, enormous. ADA compliance and improved accessibility will always be an issue until we have fully accessible campuses that accommodate both physical and invisible disabilities. Divestment from tobacco was kind of something out of left field, but I think is very pertinent. Obviously, many of you know that SUNY has kind of led an initiative over the past few years to essentially ban all tobacco products from all of our campuses. Whatever you might say about that initiative as a policy, we think that it may be hypocritical of us to talk about the health benefits of eliminating tobacco while we're invested in tobacco industry and making money off of tobacco industry profits. So that's going to be a big discussion for us this year. Also, at the suggestion of President Garrow, who is leading up our tuition task force, I'm sorry, promotion. Wow.
Oh, hey.
He's been, I live with this guy. He's just been saying this for weeks now. He's convinced me. Anyway, Treasurer Garrow, Supreme Leader Garrow, has been leading the effort in terms of devising a tuition policy. We're going to work with him at his suggestion to create sort of an omnibus affordability package in which we talk about all of the costs associated with college. That includes tuition and financial aid, and putting that into one great big package that we can kind of prefer to both state and federal government. What's coming up next? We are going to formally approve the survey language after your submissions. This coming meeting will be Wednesday, the 17th at 9 o'clock. If you'd like to be on that call and are not part of the committee, please email. We're going to finalize the details of our year-long advocacy plan. So how are we going to take the pieces of our legislative agenda and move forward in an effective manner and advocate to make sure that we're being heard and that change is being made? Austin and I are working on publishing a major report on issues in higher education. It's particularly dense. It's probably going to be upward of 80 pages. And I think that will, I think that will be of benefit to us. I know that can be difficult to kind of wade through these things, but really understanding the issues is important. A lot of research and time has gone into this. And we're also going to define an awareness and outreach strategy, something that Legislative Affairs is really well positioned to do with the help of our representatives, is reach out to our campuses and be able to establish contact and awareness so that at the very least, all of our student governments know who SUNYSA is and what it is that we do. Schedule and attendance, hardly super important. The attendance list is in our minutes, and you feel free to read through those. Given the time of year, we haven't had a need to meet very frequently. That need is escalating, and we meet on an as-needed basis. In the past 30 days, we've actually had 2 conference calls. I apologize for the typo here. And we spent most of our time communicating via email because we've been collaborating on various documents, including helping Secretary Wood with the Rock the Vote initiative. Let's see here. Attendance at our meetings has been healthy. There are some people that have still not attended meetings, and I try to reach out to them and ensure that they do. And Vice Chair Colin Delgado will be the hammer of the Legislative Affairs Committee and raining down justice upon those who do not appear. How's the Facebook page? Honestly, we don't really use it much. Reason for that being is because I'm getting that look. Reason is because most of our discussions rely on shared documents that we all need to contribute to. And the more effective manner of doing that is within our Gmail client. And I will happily take a dressing down from you after this report, Secretary. How are we doing with our plan of action? We are ahead of schedule and on schedule for everything. We are ahead of schedule with developing a list of advocacy items, our legislative agenda. We are about 2 weeks ahead of where I thought we would be at this point, which I'm really happy about. We are on schedule for the system-wide survey. I had hoped to start that discussion just about the time that the semester began, and we have done that. And we're also on schedule for our advocacy plan development. I'm looking forward to furthering that in the coming weeks. Lastly, it's a membership update. As I said, Colin Delgado is the committee vice chair, as appointed by representatives. Brian Polanco, who's a student from the University of Albany and a member of the committee, has selflessly volunteered to be the committee secretary. And Alex George is another member of the committee, is the deputy vice chair for fellowship. That was a volunteer position, and he was confirmed by unanimous consent. So, George, thank you very much. So, at this time, if you guys have any questions about legislative affairs, what we've done, what's coming up, feel free. Oh, yeah. All right, thank you guys very much.
Thank you both for that wonderful and in-depth report. Excellent. Up next, we have
Hi, everyone. I think you all know me. I'm Margaret Ketchum. I'm the Deputy Director of Communications. I am apologizing to you all that my co-partners, the Director of Communications, Monica Laffey, is not here, and Tyler, the Press Secretary, they're both out of town. So I'm doing my best
excited to be here, everyone on the live stream. If you can't already tell, I'm very, very happy to be here. Margaret and I are about to kill it. Let us begin. We will also be having a guest appearance from our special advisor on digital policy, Arthur Ramsey, in a few minutes. Thank you. We will be in now.
So, sort of to talk about the things that we've been communicating about, one of the huge events that we have had this summer was the blood drive for the Orlando victims. I know Mark talked about that earlier to you all. We kind of took that event and really tried to push our presence on all our social media platforms. That was our hugest event. That's where we actually launched our Snapchat account. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. You can follow us. We have worked in conjunction with campus representatives who've all been so great working with us so we can create a database of all presidents, vice presidents on the 64 campuses to get their information. So when information needs to go out to them, we can send it. So, and we've also been collaborating with you, Bridget, and Morgan on the It's On Us campaign. I know there's some things that are in the work there. Monica's done a lot more of that. I don't know if you'd like to speak on that.
I can speak on that. So we have a core team of what is now 4 people, with the addition of Arthur, kind of overseeing everything communications we have. It's a great problem to have 4 people essentially being able to oversee all accounts and all parts of this communications committee, because that's not always something we've had a great opportunity to do. So I think that's something that's really a testament to this year's department, as well as just touching on the blood drive. We even from this was including the president's report. We were even told by most of the people at the Red Cross, we don't get media coverage like this. We are not followed by cameras from, I think we had 3 or 4 news channels there. We managed to raise the awareness that we wanted to, and I think that's a good stepping stone for the rest of the year, because everything is communications, as you will soon learn if you do not already know. So this committee, this department, will be very intimate with everything we do this year.
Thank you very much. I'm going to sort of talk to you a little bit about social media and what I've been doing that this summer. So since we took over at Transitional, we immediately sat down and said we wanted to increase our followership on all of our accounts by 5 to 10% by the end of August. I'm happy to tell you all that we have exceeded that, which is awesome, and I can get into some statistics a little bit later for you. Oh,
Maybe there's a graph on there next to
yeah.
maybe another graph. Oh, there's also a graph. There's also a graph to show you that we have some increase on all our social media platforms. Followership.
Something that I noticed is our Instagram account really hadn't been being utilized in the past, and we've increased our followership on that account by almost 20%, and that is a huge goal that we are really happy that we've been able to do that. So.
And this is something, again, that in the past we haven't been great at using social media, and I'm going to, again, harken back to the fact that we have 4 able members of this communications committee willing to work on anything, and I think just the fact that one of the year's goals was to, increase everything by 10%. We're already doing that, and it's, we're a month in. So by the end of the year, using these types of avenues for our events and making sure, everything's available. We're live streaming on YouTube. I mean, there's going to be a lot of different opportunities for us to broadcast ourselves and make sure that we're visible as students to students. I think it's really important. That's a nice graph.
Thank you. To talk about the Snapchat account, we thought that might be a really good idea to have for the fall conference and spring conference. It's a really big platform to just quickly get information out to students about what we're doing. So it's kind of new that we don't really have a lot of followers. So the username SUNYSA official, if you want to follow, you can talk to me. I can get you to follow us later. But yeah, we're really excited about that. We're going to be working on the fall conference newsletter within the next couple of weeks and get that up and running. Hopefully we'll have all of our logos for our social media platforms in there, including our Snapchat, to really promote it at fall conference. It's something we want to do.
So, you want me to start talking about the fall then? Okay. So, like I I said before, we'd like to continue seeing an increase on all of the followership on all of our platforms. We want to finalize the databases. We want to make sure that all SGA contacts are in our hands. We want to make sure that the reps are continuing to compile that data in conjunction with Rob and Mike and Josh, because that is paramount for disseminating information to the students around the system. I can't put enough emphasis on that. She talked about the Snapchat account a bit. The conference newsletter, I don't know, to my knowledge, I don't think we've done a conference newsletter before. Did we do that? Mark, have we done a conference? Yeah, we always do a conference newsletter is what I was saying. And we're going to be, we always do a conference newsletter, so we're going to begin working on that. So local and national spotlight for the upcoming elections, that's something I have a slide on a bit later that I've been working with Tyler on. Mr. Garum. I've been working with Tyler on that media strategy, and I'll go through that in a bit, as well as the op-eds.
So as far as our meetings that we've held in attendance, it's been awesome. Everybody has been participating. It's been great to talk to everybody in the committee. They've brought forward so many ideas, which we're looking forward to working together and pushing forward over the year and seeing how far we can take the committee and take SUNYSA together. So I thank all of you for participating so well. As far as the communications Facebook page, we have used it some to have a little bit of discussion for planning when we're having meetings. We posted the link to the survey where you can just put in when you're available, which is helpful. We have had a lot of our discussion through email though, which has just been a little bit easier for all of us, I think. But we're looking to have more discussion on the page as the year progresses.
Just something I'd like to say is that when using Facebook pages, when using your pages on the website, if you're commonly uploading minutes, agendas to the Google Drive, at the same time, just upload that to your Facebook page. It makes the most sense for transparency every time you have a meeting to put those agendas up there, those minutes up there after you finish. And that's something that Evan does a great job with academic affairs, is making sure all the meetings are posted and everything like that. So we're all doing it together right now.
Absolutely. So I'll kind of turn it over to you.
Sure. Did we go past the yes. Did we have extra something? One moment, folks. So there's extra slides in the one that I have up on the Google Drive. So achievements in alignment with our plan of action. Like we said, we've already exceeded where we wanted to be with the social media platforms. That was one of our biggest things that coming into the year we wanted to do. Creating a Snapchat account, making information easily accessible at all the conferences is something that we haven't always been great at. It's kind of like trying to put stuff on a Facebook page, put it in the group me this way. Anyone who's going to the conference always been great about it. I'm surprised it's not up. Okay. So another current goal is having the campus spotlight. So highlighting colleges in our system. This can go along with what Andy was talking about with the blog.SUNY. They do a campus spotlight as well. Arthur's worked on that as well down in New York City, doing the campus spotlight. So that's something that we're going to integrate into our meetings as well. And just some campuses that aren't commonly highlighted, just go. So the reason this started, not for SUNY, but for me, was because outside where you park in the circle, we all park in the parking garage. Where you park in the circle, they have flags with every campus. They also have pictures from those campuses on what the campuses specialize in, whether it's biology at Oneonta or it's hotel management stuff at Delhi. And I thought to myself, I'm like, a lot of people don't know what each campus specializes in, whether it's prospective students looking for a school, whether that's current students in the system. Like if you said SUNY Canton, what's their best program? I wouldn't know. But with the campus spotlight, something like that, where we can go to campuses, highlight exactly what they do well, and let everyone in the system know that, I think is very, very important. Okay, so the goals with the legislative affairs, the legislative agenda, excuse me. So one thing that we wanted to do was have a consistent amount of op-eds in different newspapers, and target, this is also in the next slide as well, and target not only local TV and radio stations, but I think, personally, I think Ray agrees with me, there's going to be a couple days, whether it's Hillary Clinton saying something very great or it's Donald Trump saying something very ignorant, there's going to be a couple days where higher education is in the national spotlight. And I think we can jump on that. I think there's a lot to be said for the issues that we have as students, and I would highly doubt that that it's not going to be part of the national discussion. Coming out of the Democratic platform with talking about debt-free college and things like that, there's going to come a time, and I think that we are a huge system. We are a huge system here in New York, and there is a good chance that we can have a voice in whether it's a roundtable discussion, a panel discussion, when this comes along in October, November. Arthur, it's your turn. Ladies and gentlemen, the Special Director for Digital Policy, Arthur, Special Director. Okay, Special Director, thanks for the promotion. It's loud. So some of you know, those of you on the Communications Committee are very aware of this, but I've been working very closely with Margaret, Monica, Tyler, and the rest of the Communications Committee, the Executive Board on the website this past summer. So I've been named by Mark the Special Advisor for Digital Policy, apparently. My primary responsibility in that is maintaining the website. I've tried to outline up here everything that's really entailed so far. You all, I think maybe one or two exceptions, everyone in this room that was at transitional at least, has a page on Student Assembly that's their user profile. We're right now updating the directories. If you go to sunysa.org, type in /u, the letter U, and then / your first initial last name, almost everyone in this room should have one. And if you don't, feel free to email me. They will all be completed by the end of the week, pretty much, with updates in terms of committee membership, biographies. We're taking some headshots tomorrow for those of you who don't already have them or that weren't that transitional. I've been working with Morgan on putting up the final Rock the Vote tab. So you go to sunysa.org, and all the way on the right-hand side at the top menu bar is the Rock the Vote tab where you can register to vote. I've been working with Communications Committee. This is a recommendation that Connor brought to the committee from discussions he's had with colleagues at University of Rochester? RIT. For creating a petition feature so that students can create petitions on the SUNYSA website and sign on to them. And we're working on seeing if that's feasible with System Administration's IT department. Yeah, if you ever have any questions about the website or about anything you see on the website that's inaccurate, just send me an email, send Monica an email. He and I talk on a regular basis about this. One other thing that isn't on here is I've been working with, very recently, Morgan and Bridget to start to put together a streamlined process for collecting committee agendas and committee meeting minutes to post on the website on each committee page. Tomorrow, once the committee membership lists are approved, myself and Margaret will be updating every committee page to have everything that we already have, including updated committee memberships. That's it for me. Thank you very much, Arthur. I appreciate it. And lastly, here's a picture of Gene Wilder asking if you have any questions. So if you have any questions for myself, Margaret, and or Arthur, I would encourage you to ask them now. Mr. Muniz, sir.
A question about kind of petition feature. Is there really any way to ensure that petition feature is used by our students?
So that's the big issue. I had a number of discussions and read through a ton of emails with Connor and his contacts at RIT about this. At RIT, it's linked to your student email. However, we don't all have one student email address. They all have different domains. So that's what we're looking into now is there a way to put all of the domains in there without it becoming a nightmare to create and maintain. But also, we want to be able to hear the voices of the students we represent, but we also need to take into consideration, will this be something that gets spammed by other people with just .edu addresses, students that aren't in SUNY, students that aren't in the United States, people that aren't students, so we do have to take that into consideration. Because we can't, there's really no way to bring it in so that you have to log in to do it. The only way that we maybe could do it is if it's set up so that you have to type in your student email stream, as well as Big Ideas blog, and pretty much every SUNY university-wide digital asset.
Kind of follow up that, actually has nothing to do with that. This is just a second question. More communication. Have we had any discussions, similar to I don't have much knowledge, with system administration about their contacts in like network media? As he was discussing before, there's probably a really great opportunity for Mark to be part of a panel during higher education on
Exactly. I can answer that. It's a combination of talking to people here in the communications department and talking with federal relations in DC. Alex Christine, who runs federal relations in DC, is very, very connected. And I have had preliminary talks with the communications people here. They're less in touch with that market. Should we want to pursue a federal, Washington DC based television station? But yes, the discussions are being had.
If we have some sort of content that we would like to maybe be posted on social media outlets, who would be the main point of contact to send that to?
That goes to Margaret, and also sent that out.
Yes, Margaret is the contact for that. Absolutely. Perfect. Anyone else? Thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so it is 5:05 right now. We have dinner at 6, but I'm concerned that our next report may take longer than we have the provost of the university coming. So my suggestion is that somebody call for a motion to recess until tomorrow at there will be recess, especially we don't have to adjourn and whatever. And we would reconvene this portion of presentations tomorrow, unless anybody strongly objects. Or I would entertain that motion. Made by Representative T, seconded by Representative Wilhelm. Is there any opposition to recessing until tomorrow? Okay, so we stand in recess. And so we are meeting at University of Albany. Everybody will park, follow signs for Indian Quad Visitor Lot.
Yes, that will definitely be open. Should you have issues, call me. Everyone has my phone number to use it. If you do not see me or contact, it's not hard to get to. University, so follow sign 50 cars per second.
Yeah, so we have